This is Dolly. Dolly is our great green macaw. Isn't she the greatest, greenest macaw you've ever seen? So, we help support these birds in the wild. Just by being here today, $1 from everybody's admission goes down to our conservation fund. And we help support 3 different endangered species. One of them is the great green macaw, so we help support the ARA project in Costa Rica. So what they do is they actually help release baby great green macaws back into the wild. So they're endangered because they rely heavily on a specific type of tree called the mountain almond tree, and that tree was being chopped down for hardwood furniture and truck floor bedding. One of the things the ARA project did was actually get the logging of that tree illegal. So that's why we really like that organization and we help support it. One of the most important things we can tell you guys about macaws is that we don't recommend them as pets to anybody. The reason is you can take the macaw to the rainforest, but it's impossible to take the rainforest out of the macaw. So all of those adaptations, yeah, that's right, Dolly. All those adaptations they're using to thrive in the wild, they don't stop using just because they come into your homes. So they have a really loud voice, and unfortunately, there is no volume switch to it. It only comes out as maximum. So they also have that big old beak, which they love to keep in shape. You know, in the wild, they have all those trees to chew on to keep it in shape. So if you're not giving them toys to chew on, they'll find other things like your furniture or your curtains. Nobody wants that. So if that wasn't enough to convince you, we like to compare them to, but that's why we call her the Goblin Queen from time to time. These birds are excellent acrobatic flyers, and without even having to stop on a branch, they can pluck berries right off of them. Those loud wing beats are a good indication of how heavy they are, so they have that big beak to extend their reach and do that. So they also often play a huge role as seed dispersers in their habitat, because these birds don't digest the seeds of the fruit that they eat, and they fly miles and miles every day. Come on, you. Just stay still, she'll do it. She's thinking about it. She's actually thinking to see if you were true or not. All right. You guys can hand your flower crowns to Helen, and you can have flying isn't always the best option. And sometimes toucans just like to hop right to it. So that's why we had those volunteers set up to show that. So check out that beautiful electric blue around her eyes. It's not makeup, even though she's one of our bird show stars. That's actually because this is where red-tailed hawks like to kind of soar and hunt for their food. Sometimes they'll even hunt on those really tall telephone poles in Utah, so keep your eyes to those. One of my favorite things about red-tailed hawks is that they're free to see in the wild. I don't think any of us would be thinking these peanut-queer pigeons, because that's what these birds eat in the wild. They eat birds, pigeons, sometimes even bats and insects. So they have to be pretty fast and maneuverable, as you guys just saw. So fast and maneuverable. When you consider the world's fastest human being, Usain Bolt, you know, he's a gold medalist and all, he was clocked at 26 miles an hour. So it is pretty impressive when you consider, you know, the size difference in a greater roadrunner and a human being. But these birds aren't just using their incredible speed to outrun their predators like coyotes and birds in the sky in the desert. They're actually using their incredible speed to be predators themselves. Would you guys believe if I told you that a roadrunner the size of Roscoe here is capable of taking down a venomous rattlesnake? It's true. They're pretty brave birds. Sometimes 2 roadrunners will work together, one to distract it, but the other one will come up and grab it by the head, and they will slam it down on the ground until it stops moving. So it's a pretty cool way of surviving out there. So these birds are in Salt Lake City, unfortunately. You'd have to go down a little more south than Moab or St. George County to see them in the wild. But our roads are creating boundaries in their habitats that they don't know about. So if you guys are down there driving around, be aware that these these birds are going to be running along the roads that we're so lucky to have around is that they're actually cleaning up the mess for us. And while they're cleaning up the mess, their digestive system is so strong, it's like battery acid. It digests the bacteria that could create diseases like botulism, rabies, anthrax, cholera. So they're doing a lot of help for us. But we do have one more trick up our sleeves to prove to you guys how adorable these birds are. Oops. We call this the happy vulture hop. And if this doesn't show you how adorable the species of ground hornbill. If you haven't had a chance, check out the exhibit of southern ground hornbills. They're a huge family, and they act just like one, so they're really interesting to watch out there. But check out Rafiki's eyelashes as he comes around. They're usually the envy of all the ladies in the room. But don't be too envious because it took him thousands of years to develop. They're actually an adaptation to help keep the debris out of his eyes in the dry African savanna. He's just saying hi. And yes, he does like brown boots. But check out that big old beak. It's a very versatile tool for him, and he's super smart and he knows when to use it. He can use it as a little pair of tweezers to pick up the tiniest piece of food that he'll probably pick up that I probably dropped around the ground. Or it's